Hello. Today's episode is a conversation with Jac with No K, who is a local Austin musician, singer-songwriter, badass guitar player, and friend of mine around the Austin scene. Jac and I get into a cool conversation about his history in music and education, moving from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia and now to Austin. We also get into topics about his new EP. We get into issues of good and evil and theology and all sorts of cool stuff like that. And we have a badass jam at the end of the episode. So be sure to listen all the way to the end to get to that. But before we get to all that, please remember that I am a value for value podcaster and musician myself, which means that I operate on a system where any value that I provide to you through my content, I ask that you respond in kind by providing value back to me. There's a few ways to do that. There are some really easy ways like liking my stuff, leaving a comment, subscribing to my channels, all that. You can also donate one-time donations on my Venmo through this QR, or Bitcoin to me through this QR. I accept Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin, all that stuff. And you can also subscribe on a monthly basis to my Patreon with the link below. And on my Patreon, if you subscribe, there's different tiers that get sort of different goodies and things like that. But all of these are ways of providing value back to me for any of the value that you derive from the content that I provide to you. All right, on to the show. Welcome to Music in Mind, with Anthony Calkin. All right, hello everybody. I'm here with Jac with No K, J-A-C, Jac Carson, who is a guitarist, songwriter, musician in Austin, Texas, and we met. I think it was at the Friends Bar Blues Jam, probably like a year ago or something like that. Maybe a year and a half ago.
WTF?
It was one of them. Yeah,
one of them. It's always one of them.
I think you were one of the first people I played with there too.
Oh yeah?
I think it was Psycho Killer.
That makes sense actually. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, I was very intimidated by that jam. When
Oh,
I first
really?
moved here, I was like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah, but here you are.
Yeah. And we played together last night at Skylark Lounge at their jam. So how's life?
No, it's good, man. No one ever asks. It's always me being like, "How's everyone doing tonight?" But
right,
no one asks back.
You want the audience to ask you back?
Yeah. So podcast listeners, if you could write in,
how's everyone doing tonight? I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, like how are you?
I'm great.
How
thank
is
you.
life? How you been holding up? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
You got a real sad-looking Care Bear right there. I just noticed.
Oh, Grumpy Bear.
Yeah, he's not looking at me in the eyes.
I like,
which actually kind of hurts more.
The facial expression he makes, everybody can see this is great. Because every time I'm working, he has an expression like, you think that's good?
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
Good. That's a weird self-motivator. Self-hate can be powerful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Grumpy Bear. Yeah, my sister got me that. So.
All right, cool. Let's take an ad break. Brought to you by Stamps.com.
Yeah, right. Stamps.
Yeah.
Hey,
Ever need to send a letter? Nope.
Well, then you don't need...
Well, then there we go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, all the podcast things. I don't have any ads. I did
Not yet.
Well, I had
You can make your own ad. No one can stop
I don't know. I don't think I want
from saying
I don't
you're
think I
brought
want
to you by
ads.
ZipRecruiter.
That's true. Well, ZipRecruiter might.
Yeah, they
might. No, stop it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite newer season Family Guy bits. Is they're doing a podcast?
Oh yes, I've seen that one.
ZipRecruiter. We vastly overestimate the amount of people who listen to podcasts who are in hiring decisions.
Yeah,
something like that. That's funny.
So you're a podcast listener?
I'm actually just a big Family Guy fan.
Me too. I watch Family Guy
also,
while I go to sleep almost every night.
Really?
And so I've gone through the whole thing 15 times maybe.
Yeah, I respect that. See, I don't do that, and I've still gone through it 15 times.
Yeah. So you're a Family Guy fan, not a big podcast listener.
No, I'm a big podcast listener.
Okay. Yeah. What do you listen to?
Honestly, the main one I listen to all the time is Part of My Take.
Okay, I don't know that one.
So it's a Barstool Sports podcast.
Oh, cool.
Mainly football, but all kind of sports, and then occasionally they do Dungeons and Dragons.
Whoa,
which is funny.
Big difference.
Huge difference.
Okay,
but it's funny because it's a bunch of
sports nerds
guys just playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Like on the podcast they play. Yeah, oh, that's fun.
They do it during there's certain gaps in the sports calendar.
Yeah.
Where there's really nothing going on. Okay. Right after the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Football's done.
Yeah.
Mid-season, pre-All-Star game, NBA and NHL. No baseball.
Right.
Nothing.
Yep.
and then it's like
What do we do?
August is after NHL and NBA are done,
Right.
before football training camp starts, and all that's there is baseball.
Right.
But it's not even that close to the playoffs.
Sure.
So like these certain points, they'll just
Let's play Dungeons and
yeah,
Dragons.
they hire like a renowned dungeon master.
They're renowned dungeon masters?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow.
You never seen like Critical Role or any of that?
No,
stuff,
I
or-
played Dungeons and Dragons when I was like 10.
Okay.
But I haven't really played it since then. And so I don't know. I feel like it's taken off in this
Yeah.
whole other direction.
I'm a big sports guy, but I'm a big fantasy nerd too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just
Well,
play music
are you
to
a
pay the
D&D
bills,
guy?
you know. No, you know what's funny? I know a lot about D&D. I've never actually played it.
Oh, really? Have you played
Yeah.
any role-playing games?
Wow. I didn't know we were going to get into my,
Yeah.
private life.
Yeah,
Anthony,
yeah.
But...
Right off the bat.
All right, time for another ad break. We have green tea.
Just
Whenever
green
you
tea.
want just a little bit of caffeine.
Just green tea.
Just green tea.
Not any particular brand.
Amazon brand green tea.
Amazon.
120 bags for $6.
Probably.
Something like that.
Something.
That is what I do. Every morning I do green tea and throat coat tea
Okay. Yeah,
with a little bit of honey.
Nice.
But I didn't want to have you get green tea and also throat coat tea.
Yeah.
Though, it's good for you.
Yeah. I mean, I
Good
tend
for your
to-
voice.
Is it? Green tea?
That's what they say. Well, throat coat tea.
I see.
Just tea.
What does it coat your throat with? That sounds...
I thought we weren't going to get in my private life, Anthony.
Yeah.
I sure hope I'm talking into the mic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good. You are.
Should I get...
You can get as close as you
closer?
want. I'm going to compress the hell out of
okay.
it, and so it doesn't matter.
All right.
As long as it's getting signal,
right.
it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So, you're a musician. We met at the jams.
I
You
am.
seem to be sponsored by a lot of things.
By a lot of podcasting advertisements.
Yeah, that's interesting that you've got that.
You say I'm a musician, but really it's just to pay the bills so I can pursue my real habit of walking other people's dogs.
Great. So you're a musician to pay the bills. That's good. Yeah. Do you pay the bills as a musician?
I do pay the bills as a musician.
That's great.
Yeah.
No day job.
Barely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
do you do so? I know about your sort of gigging work as Jac With No K. Do you
Yeah.
do other musical work?
Sometimes. Like Saturday, I picked up a gig. You know Keezy? Mm-hmm. He's playing with his kind of group up at, what's it called? Rock House Trailer Park or whatever that spot is.
Yeah, that's a fun spot.
Yeah. And so I'm just playing lead for him on Saturday. So I'm doing the Lucky
nice.
Duck during the day.
Cool.
And then going from the Lucky Duck to fill in as like guitar.
Nice.
I used to do that a lot more when I lived in Philly before I moved to Austin. I was like, I always
Like lead
played
guitar,
and sang and stuff. Yeah,
side
but
guy.
I had my own group, the Jac With No K, kind of thing up there.
Right.
But I was also the lead guitarist for, first it was a country guy who's a really good friend of mine named Vinny Lizzie.
Okay.
And he's up in Nashville right now. Shout out, Vinny.
Hi, Vinny.
The off chance you would hear this.
Yeah. He's a huge
this
fan.
local Austin music podcast.
Yeah, right.
Then I was in an indie pop band called Saint Wild,
Okay.
which was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Shout out Saint Wild in case you guys
I
are
can
fans
see
of
you
it.
like playing guitar in an indie pop band
Yeah,
pretty
it
well.
was fun. The only problem was they were all like over 6 feet tall. So I really stood out.
Dang.
Yeah. That's how I should have known it wasn't like a perfect fit, but they all became like my best friends.
Interesting.
Up there. And then I was in a group called Arch Palatine that I can only describe as like dungeon rock or like
Okay.
theater pop combined.
Theater pop?
Yeah. I'll show
Whoa,
you a
those
song.
two phrases
Yeah.
sent me in very different directions.
Right here would be a great time to intercut with like a 10-second clip
Okay.
of his song Hypnotize.
Am I going to get pulled off things
Go.
for putting it on there?
No chance.
No chance?
No chance.
I,
I
get
mean,
pulled off for putting my own songs
can-
on there
How?
because they happen to technically be copyrighted.
Yeah, but you're the copyright owner.
I know. YouTube is
All right, well, here would
frustrating.
be a good spot. To
I'll
put
try.
in.
I'll try. I can do it on Spotify.
Or
I
you
can
know
do
what
it.
we could do is just play it like
Yeah.
from our phone.
Yeah.
Because then it won't hit the
That's true, but it'll sound better. I'll put something in. As long,
cool.
yeah.
It's cool stuff. Anyways.
The phone thing sounds better.
Yeah, anyways, I was this guitarist. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the dungeon rock / theater pop.
Yeah. Or dungeon pop theater rock. One of the...
Theater rock.
It's, I mean, you'll listen
When you
to
say
it and you'll
theater,
be like,
are you mean like Broadway?
Yeah, kind of.
Like
It's
Rent?
very interesting. It's, I mean, you'll just have to listen.
That's crazy.
But we would do these concerts called the Dark Castle Experience.
Nice.
And it was kind of like a concept album sort of thing.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was really neat. That was one of the most, it was
Do you have
one of the
costumes
most
and like
fun.
sets and stuff?
We only had to wear, he had a full costume.
Yeah.
No sets. Not at that point.
Okay.
I think now there's a little more with it. We just had to wear all black.
Sure.
Yeah. It was fun. And it worked because at the time, one of my main guitars, which is my first like really nice guitar, is a jet black Gibson Les Paul.
Nice.
So it worked
Do you
well.
play that one much? I don't know if
it's
I've
up in
ever seen you
it's up
play that.
home in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Gotta have one nice guitar up there. Also, It's just heavy.
Yeah. So Pittsburgh is where you're from and where
I'm
you started
from
out.
Pittsburgh.
And then you went to
Lived
Philly.
in Philly to go to school, and then I lived there 4 years after. So
Okay.
I spent 8 years in Philly.
What'd you go to school for?
Entrepreneurship, and I got a certificate in political economics too.
Political economics.
It all is just a lot of words.
Wait,
It
what's
sound
political
impressive.
economics versus other economics?
If you have to ask, I mean, you know,
Yeah, I don't know, obviously.
great way of saying I forget.
I forget.
No. It's just about, it's like, you know, it's like political economy. It's kind of like, you know, it's a lot of theory. It's a reason it was a certificate from the liberal arts school.
Right.
When I was in the business school. So it
Sure.
wasn't like business economics. It was like a lot of like monetary policy,
Sure.
trade theory, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So who I have a second love of economics, but I'm
Oh,
not
really?
I'm by no means well read or anything.
Yeah.
But
I used to be fairly knowledgeable. Now I just have like the core tenets
yeah.
of what I believe and what I was taught to kind of think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are they in concert? What you
More
believe and
recently,
what you were taught
all right,
to
so
think?
this is getting off topic for a music podcast, but
That's
like,
fine.
so I have always been like in theory like a free trade guy because it makes sense, you
Mm-hmm. Right.
know.
Yeah.
You specialize in what you're good at.
Yeah.
You don't have barriers up, and then
Right.
everything will kind of find itself in perfect harmony.
Uh-huh.
I recently, like in the last few years, do think there's a lot of merit to like basically the idea of, hey, maybe we shouldn't have gotten rid of all our manufacturing because now
Right.
like we can't produce a lot of steel and
Sure.
we can't produce like a lot of the things we need.
Yeah.
And maybe that wasn't a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Especially not to what ended up being shipping off a lot of it to like geopolitical rivals.
Sure.
Is not it's one thing when a lot of the steel, so Pittsburgh was a big steel city.
Right.
Actually, fun history fact. I'm a big history guy. Pittsburgh during the Second World War, just that city produced more steel than all of the Axis powers combined.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
That's
pretty amazing.
badass.
It used to be the second biggest city
Yeah.
in America.
Pittsburgh?
Yep.
When?
Early 1900s.
The second biggest city?
Yeah, I mean, it was huge so that's, you know, like who Andrew Carnegie
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
You know, one of the richest men.
Yeah.
American history, one of like the, you know, industrial titans or robber barons or however
Right.
you want to
Right.
describe that whole Gilded Age era. All of his stuff was in Pittsburgh. That's where all the steel was. That's where Westinghouse was that did all like the train stuff. So it became a huge immigrant community.
Right.
So it's
Cool.
a lot of the Italian and Irish and Polish immigrants
Right.
would come from like when they came here from like New York or Buffalo was also a really big place
Right.
where people would actually come into the United States. A lot of people would resettle down in Pittsburgh, because there were just a lot
Cool.
of jobs there.
So is Pittsburgh a Midwest city?
I think so.
Ha-ha!
Culturally, for sure.
I have
It's
this
one of those
argument with so
things
many
where-
people
yeah.
because I see Pennsylvania as being a split
Sure.
state.
It is-
And Philly is East Coast to
Philly's
me.
so East Coast.
And Pittsburgh is the edge of the Midwest to me.
That's exactly how I would describe it, because I grew up in Pittsburgh. You see the maps and you always think like, oh, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, East Coast.
Right.
And growing up there, I wouldn't have thought anything of that. I've been like, yeah, you know, it's the East Coast.
Right.
And then I lived in Philadelphia.
Right.
And
Like, oh, this is
it
a different world.
it's so different. It's so different. And also Philly's so much bigger than
Right.
Pittsburgh. So
How
that's
big is
part of it.
Pittsburgh?
It's big enough to have 3 sports
6 to 8.
teams. That's
Sure.
No, it's not 6 to 8 million. I mean,
No,
it's
6 to 800,000.
Oh,
Something like
well,
that.
Metro, I think it's probably around 1 million. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's a little smaller than Austin.
Right. I think of it as similar in size to like Milwaukee and Cleveland.
It's a little bigger than both of them, I think.
Okay.
But that's not a bad way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a Wisconsin thing. Are you from Wisconsin?
I'm from Wisconsin.
You're from Wisconsin?
Yep.
That's cool.
From
You know
Madison.
Taylor, who does stage at Taylor, who does all the sound and stage at WTF, is from Wisconsin.
Oh, I didn't know
He's
that.
from like a really small place there.
Oh.
Y'all can bond over it.
Oh, that's
Also,
great.
You know
I know
Friends Bar does
Stefan.
cheese curds.
What?
You know Friends Bar does fried cheese curds.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah, I haven't gotten
They're
them,
really
but-
good.
Are they?
They're not actual cheese curds.
But they're good.
Yeah, they're.
Nice.
Are
they branded?
right? No.
Oh.
No, they're not real cheese curds. They're little bits of the actual of like cheese ball. They're basically
I
fried
see.
cheese balls.
Okay.
But you'll like them,
sounds
I'm
good.
sure.
That
Yeah.
sounds good.
That's like anywhere I go where they're like, I can see that I can put fries on my salad. I get excited because it's a Pittsburgh thing.
Fries on your salad. I haven't
Fries
heard
on
of that.
everything, man. Fries on the sandwich. Fries
Fries
on
on
the
the
salad.
sandwich. I love like a shawarma with fries in it or something
that's
like
good.
that. But I've never had fries on a salad.
Should try it.
Interesting.
Just next time you get a salad, throw a couple of fries. It's got to be the right salad, like a Greek salad. It tastes really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would highly recommend. Just think
I
about
can
it.
see that. Yeah. That
Yeah.
sounds good. I think that Greek thing. Okay. So,
Delicious. Where were we?
political economics.
Oh, anyways, yeah. I understand.
History.
Yeah.
You understand?
I don't know where I was going to go. Let's just move on.
Okay. Well,
Quickly.
what I'm wondering is that academic side. Like you seem to. We were just having a conversation about like biblical translations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So does the academic side or the interest, the curiosity about non-musical topics come into your music in any way?
Huh. Sometimes.
Like your songwriting, your process, anything like that?
Yeah, so
I mean, I guess the
That is interesting, yeah.
entrepreneurship to the business side makes sense, how that would come in.
that definitely helped a lot in the idea of my actual like quote unquote professional background before I did music full time was sales. So that with an entrepreneurship thing helps a lot with doing music because it's a lot of that like it's a lot of the like soft skills of knowing how to like
Yeah.
do your own thing and get people to say yes and that kind of thing.
The sales aspect of it is, I struggle with that, and I'm trying to think about it more and more like my act is a product that I'm trying to pitch to venues and things like that.
Yeah, and that's not a bad way of thinking about it. It's tough because it's one of those things where like your music's really personal to you, and you don't want to be one of those people. This is at least me speaking from my experience. I never want to be one of those people who's like overly serious as an artist.
Yeah.
Who's like, oh, it's the most important thing in the world. Like, it's not. We're just
It's just
guitar.
music.
It's just music, man. It's great. Music's great. It's what makes me feel alive, and that's why I do it.
Yeah.
But it's not like we're curing cancer.
Right.
Or like parachuting into war zones to provide like medical aid. Like, there's a lot of things that are more important than what we do.
Yes.
I also never wanted to be one of those people who's just overly professional and salesy about it to where it's like there's no artistry involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like there's
of
some
course.
people, and there's some people in Austin, it's a lot in Nashville and stuff where like, and you and I both play in bands that have to do like these long 3-hour gigs and stuff. So you have to do covers, right?
Yes.
But I never wanted to just lose the aspect of like, why am I doing this?
Absolutely.
And some of that is by the benefit of also being a songwriter. Because some people aren't. And like, that's like totally fine and normal. And there's a different attitude you can have with that. Like if you're not like if you're just a bassist, but if you're just a but like if you're a bassist and you don't write songs, right? Your main, and you want to be a professional musician, your main thing is like money, gigs, or like, what am I really getting?
Right. I mean, I ask this question all the time. Are you in the particular case you're talking about, are you a tradesman or are you an artist?
It's got to be both.
Well, I don't know if it has to be both.
So I think
if you're a bass player and you're content,
just a bass player. No,
if you are just a bass player,
yeah, Micaiah. I'm just kidding.
I think he listens to this. Micaiah.
He's the one just every week tuning into the
just a bass player. Screw you.
Yeah, he's playing with me tonight. Super, like out of the kindness of his heart.
Nice.
Like last minute.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Where are you playing?
WTF.
Okay, this won't be out tonight, but
so if you're listening,
yeah, if you're listening, and you can go back in time.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think it depends on how you do it. There's definitely bass players, not Micaiah.
No, let's just pick on Micaiah.
No. I mean, there are bass players I've heard, and it feels to me like what they're doing is they're doing a trade. It feels to me like they're like, I know how to play like the blues, and I can just kind of do this for 3 or 4 hours, and it's whatever.
Yeah. There's a lot of that, and I will say
there's a lot who aren't like that, by the way.
But there's also there's nothing wrong with that because there are a lot of blues bands, and there's like way more. Here's the thing: there's way more people who sing and play guitar, than there are bassists.
Right.
There's not like this even like ratio in the city. It's like I don't know, 6-1, 8-1.
Yeah.
So bassists in particular are in this like interesting position where you're always in demand if you want to be in demand. So you have to know what to do. But that also means that you can't like get attached to every single thing that you do.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're pulled in a million different directions.
Yep.
So there are some people who are very much hired guns. And the reason I brought up just bassists in particular is because I think it's an easy one to see that kind of life with when I was talking about the difference, like walking the line between just artistry and, pure professional musicianship, because I know a lot of bassists who, as I'm saying that out loud, I actually realize that almost all the bassists I play with do try and write their own songs.
Yeah.
But I do know a lot of bassists who aren't songwriters. Mm-hmm. Drummers probably would have been a better example because it's hard to, write solo music for drums. But
I think it depends on the person, right? Because actually, if I think about it, there aren't that many musicians I know who are quote just an anything.
Yeah,
because they have artistic aspirations, and I would say most musicians that's how they got into it. But I think that there is a path that can lead you down to essentially having a trade.
Yeah,
similar to being a plumber. Like this is a thing I do. You need somebody to come.
Plumbers make a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a way, a plumber is a lot more valuable, though.
Yeah.
Because if your toilet is backed up, you need a plumber.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you need a band at your bar? Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice.
Don't hire a DJ.
Right.
To be clear.
But the
you need us.
The cover
Austin.
band thing is also
just because every other city makes do without it doesn't mean you don't need us.
This is why you need to be an artist, though. If you're an artist, you're providing value. Because if you are just a cover band, you're the same as Spotify. Probably a little bit worse.
Well, maybe quality, but not in energy. Hopefully, you would hope that a band you're watching has more energy than the
Spotify.
Radio. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's interesting. So the overarching point I was trying to make is I think there's a certain amount of artistry that you have to hold on to when you're a songwriter.
Right.
Was kind of the overarching point. And I think if you don't have that aspect, it's a lot easier, not in a bad way, to go and be a lot more of like how you said, like a tradesman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With music.
Yeah.
I think you have to hang on to the artistry a little bit, at least when you're a songwriter, because if you lose that, but you're still trying to write songs, you get a lot of uninspired works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get inspired works?
It's a great question. There's this quote that I'm not actually going to quote correctly. So if maybe on the screen you could put like a little thing with the actual quote.
Okay.
Just to see how badly I miss it.
So I can remember.
Would be, yeah, exactly. Would be great. But I remember in high school, one of my best friends was really into the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's in a band called November Blue up in up in Nashville. So
nice. All these bands.
Yeah, a lot of bands. I like
great.
giving little shout outs. It's half of my content for podcasts.
I love it. I mean, actually, I am always looking for music to listen to that is by people
cool.
I know in the network and stuff like that.
Well, they're up in Nashville. They're really good. If you
What's their
like
name?
November Blue.
Cool.
Yeah, if you like Avett Brothers,
Nice.
with maybe a little more of like a more modern country
Sure.
twist to it.
Yeah.
You like them. Honestly, if you like harmonies, you'll like them. They're the best harmonies I've ever heard.
Nice.
Of like any band.
Harmonies. We got to get back to that. I have a point.
All right.
Put a pin in that.
Harmonies.
Yeah.
Anyways, so here's the quote. Here's where you put the quote. It actually would be funny if there's just this quote and it disappears, and then like 5 minutes later is when I actually say it. So,
Okay, you're giving
anyways,
me editing work.
one of my best. Yeah, it's a lot of editing. Hope you're ready. We need like PowerPoint transitions too. Anyways, so he's really into the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and John Frusciante had this quote that I used to make fun of, where he's like, "I think we as musicians pull songs out of the ether around us, and it's not actually like our own inspiration. It's us as like a vessel
Sure.
for like this universal sound."
Right.
And I always just thought he was like a rambling heroin addict.
Interesting.
And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And now as I've gotten older,
Yep.
and I've written, I have a catalog of maybe close to 30 songs that are out and stuff like that, of, and more that aren't, not a ton more that aren't, but, more that aren't. I kind of understand what he's thinking, because you can sit down and you can try and write about something specific.
Yep.
For me, it doesn't always work that well.
Yep.
You can sit down and have a regimented practice, which I think is really important for a songwriter to
Absolutely.
have, but it also doesn't always yield the best results. The same way that like if you're, playing sports, you want to have practice, and you want to, if you're a basketball guy, you want to like practice shooting threes, right? Or free throws or something like that. And it doesn't mean that like that's how good you'll play in the game. And sometimes like if you can really shine as like a clutch performer, it's going to be better when you do it like live and in the moment.
Absolutely.
But having that regimen thing is important. But like I said, it doesn't always yield the best results. I've found that most of my songs come from like random moments of inspiration. And the trick is you have to be able to know how to capture that a little bit, so you at least have something to go back to.
Yes.
And that was a piece of advice given to me by a friend of mine from Philly who now lives in Montana. Hayden Samick. Dead Fellow is the name of the group. Really cool. Really, really cool music. Now last I know, he works as one of the editors for the Meat Eater podcast.
Okay.
Which I don't listen to, but it's a big like hunter
Cool.
type thing up in Montana. It's cool. Anyways, he said you have to be able to like, whenever you feel that moment of like inspiration as a songwriter, be able to stop what you're doing and just work on it until it's not flowing anymore.
Yes.
And I've started doing that a couple years ago. And I've gotten some of my best songs from that.
Absolutely.
From just like, oh, okay, I'm feeling it.
Yep.
Stop what you're doing. The only thing that really keeps me from it is I'm like, fuck me, I'm going to be late to a gig. Like,
Yep.
can't be late. That's very unprofessional.
Being late.
Being late is super unprofessional, and I really, really try my best not to.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like I've had like dates where I've been like, hey, I'm running like 15 minutes. And sometimes I'm like, oh, it's traffic. And sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm writing a song. I got inspired. I'm like, that's like the douchiest answer in the world. But like,
no, but it's true though. But that for sure, I agree with you about the finding a way to recognize it in the moment and get enough down right then that you're going to be able to come back to it later.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to know, because it's easy to get a bunch down and you come back to it later and it's just totally gone.
Yeah.
And it was good in the moment. And if you'd kept working on it, maybe you would have captured it.
Yeah.
And then you come back to it 2 days later and it's just like, this is awful.
That's why voice memos are really important.
Yeah.
And organized songwriting technique is important.
Yes.
Because I used to write all my songs just like in my journal, which looks nice to look back on, but is really hard for like editing purposes.
Yes.
I, over the last few years, write all my songs on graph paper.
On graph paper.
Yeah, on a clipboard.
And do you write, when you say you
mechanical
write
pencil.
your songs, yeah, is it like lyrics and chords? Are you writing notation out?
Yeah, both. No. I don't do musical notation.
Okay.
No.
So if
Like
there's
gun to my head, I could transcribe something to musical notation, but like
but if there's a riff or something specific,
voice memo.
okay.
Melodies and riffs and stuff like that, voice memo.
Uh-huh.
I have graph paper that I write my songs on. I wish I brought it to like show the audience.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's art at a certain point.
yeah, just put in a picture of me holding it. I'll send it to you later.
Great.
Yeah. It'll be right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then on it though, I'll write the name of the voice memo.
Okay.
And always got to date it so you have like references for it.
Yeah.
And then something about graph paper I really like. I like that you can indent things when you need to, and everything can be laid out super like uniformly.
Yeah.
You can box things off if you need to. I never do harsh boxes. I like doing little like checks, like dashes.
Nice.
You know
Very
what I mean?
soft with-
Yeah, it's soft. It's nice though. It does look really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I'm a pretty ADD kind of guy,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of musicians and songwriters are.
Yeah.
And so when you have a very chaotic mind, having ways to organize that that are
Yes,
easy for
absolutely.
you to do,
Yep.
being the key is an important thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of techniques that like you should do if you have, if you have ADD or you're cluttered or stuff like that. But a lot of them feel like such a strain and
Yep.
very unnatural. So if you find things that are like simple and easy that just like fit that like square peg in your life,
Yep.
just go with that because it makes everything so
Yeah.
much. It just like smooths out what's like a very bumpy like road
Yeah.
in your brain.
I feel like that's also a great way of describing what the value of technique is.
That is true. Look at
And
you.
I think it's the same with guitar. I mean, we're talking about songwriting technique, organizational technique. The purpose of practicing technique on guitar is to give yourself easy access to things that you want to get
Yeah.
to, essentially. Like
I agree.
a scale doesn't matter unless you need to have access to be able to move through those notes quickly. And now you're giving
agree.
yourself a pattern.
Yeah.
You're like, now like I know how to do this. or
Pattern
something.
recognition is so big on guitar because it's one of those things where like reading notation for
Yeah.
a guitar sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was joking with Jim Briggs on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Shout out Jim Briggs.
Yeah, shout out Jim Briggs.
And his solo album that's totally coming soon.
Yeah,
The Hacker Promise.
I'm gonna give him shit again for this because it was pretty funny because he said, Brown Eyed Girl is in G Ionian and then C Ionian. Because that riff goes yata tweet da yata tweet da, and it doesn't sharp the F when it goes up. It's a straight transposition. And it's like, yeah, but also he just moved his hand up and did the same shape.
Yeah, that's so funny. I was going to say, like, Jim, I think you're overthinking Brown Eyed Girl. That's so funny, though. That's all jazz is, I'm convinced, is like a lot of people. I'm going to get so much shit for this. If anyone who listens to jazz is like an avid fan who's going to like.
Maybe.
If you're out there, write in.
Yeah. Right.
The P.O. Box is 1. Anyways, yeah. So, I'm really convinced that jazz was a lot of these, like, otherworldly talented, like, ear musicians.
Yes.
Who did a lot of drugs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And just played together. And just went for it, playing off of whatever they're, like, twisted high minds kind of came up with. And then it's all these really freaking lame people, not people who play jazz are lame, but the people who like sat down to write the science of it.
Yeah.
Were just, like I said, I'm a huge nerd, but these fucking like super nerds of it who are like, this is what they're doing. And I'm like, I think you're kind of missing the point.
Yeah.
Because it's not about like, oh, look how complicated, because you have to go to like the sharp 13th of the, I don't even know how to fake explain jazz.
Okay.
But like you do all these things and it's like, or you just feel it and you hear it.
Yep.
And you play what you here is supposed to be there.
Well, most of the like jazz
someone
masters
who doesn't
say
know
that's what
anything
you
about
should
jazz.
do.
Oh, really?
Like Miles
So I'm a
Davis
jazz
talks about
master,
that,
in a
and
way.
John Coltrane talks about that.
Yeah, that's
about
where-
how when they're soloing, they're not thinking about scales.
Yeah,
they're not
that's
thinking
totally
about
where I
anything.
got my ideas from.
But at the same time, the John Coltrane's
Yeah.
notebooks are just like charts and charts
Yeah.
of scales and arpeggios
See, I
and how
say
they
that,
connect. Yeah.
like my whole little tirade there,
Yeah.
and then anyone who would know anything about jazz would be like, no, and like be like, John Coltrane's notebooks are all the like,
Yeah.
all musical notation. Like he knew very exactly
Oh
what
yeah,
he was doing.
yeah, he did. But at the same time, I think it goes back to what we're talking about that obsession of technique allows him in the moment to not think.
Well, that's
And
why
I
you
think
gotta
it's the same
practice.
thing as like somebody who doesn't have that, who hasn't gone that deep into like every connection of every arpeggio, but let's say they know the minor pentatonics really well, so they
Mm-hmm.
can go to a blues jam and someone says blues in G and they're not thinking, they're just
Yeah.
going through it because they have
sure.
access to that whole scale. They know how all
Yeah.
those notes connect.
I think blues is a great example for that because blues, the reason why I fell in love with it, I think a lot of
Yeah.
people, is it's like music theory wise, about as easy as you can get.
Sure,
Probably the easiest.
maybe.
It might be like just
Maybe, except I believe that blues is in major and minor at the same time, which is this interesting complexity of the blues
I
specifically.
totally get that because there's also like, okay, so a good example is Thriller's Gone.
Yeah.
So B minor, right?
Yep.
But you can do some of the little like BB box stuff that he does on like like the like if it's like you can do the like
Yeah.
not exactly how I did it, but if you do it in the moment, it'll sound good. Where you do this riff of like something you would do in the major.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just realized it actually works better on a different blues song I was thinking of.
Well, I mean,
But if you go have a
well,
step up and you do Have You Ever Loved a Woman?
I think it's the trick of what you did is hard. It's very hard to make the major third sound good over a minor chord.
Yeah.
But the minor third always sounds good over the major chord.
That's interesting. Yeah, I like that.
And that's where you get the Jimi Hendrix, the sharp 9 chord, because it's a major chord with a minor third up on top.
Yeah.
And that is the blues sound.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I'd agree with that. I think I'm just trying to think of what my original point was. Oh. Blues is one of those things that's really, really easy to learn.
Right.
And it's basically impossible to master. Because
Sure.
you can be as good as you want, but at the end of the day, all blues really is like soul. Because the technique
Yes.
is pretty minimal.
Yep.
So it's been done for what, 120 years or something?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to make the thing that theory-wise has stayed pretty much the same, still
Right.
interesting
Yep.
over 100 years later? And people are still doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's because it's all about the feeling.
It is.
And I think that's what I like about blues a lot is, you know, there's a lot of songs that people write that are really specific to them, right? Like if you think of like a Midwestern emo kind of song,
Yeah.
it's like, I hate this one girl, Rebecca, in my hometown of like Scottsdale, Illinois.
Yep.
And
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, on December 19th, 2001. Like, you know, just
Yeah.
one of those things where it's like, you get a little glimpse into their
Yep.
life or something like
Yep.
that. Or you have songs that are really specific to like demographics of people, right? So, you know, that's a big reason why hip hop caught on. Like if you ever, what was the MWA movie?
The NW Straight Outta Compton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they talked really well about how like they were writing music for Compton and for
Yes.
their experience that they had, and that's why like Fuck the Police
Yeah.
was this like anthem, not necessarily just about like fuck the police in some like academic sense that some people in
Right.
like 2020 wanted to make it. It's about like, dude, fuck the
Like a
police in
PhD
Compton
thesis, yeah.
because this is what we deal with.
Yeah.
Or you have these songs like I don't know why this comes to mind, but like Waiting Around to Die, the Towns Van Zandt song.
Okay.
Where it's very specific to like that life. Or you have God, I'm trying to think of I can't think of a song specifically for some reason, but a lot of country music is specific to
Yes.
like resonates with this type of person where it's like people make fun of the like, oh, I drink a beer on my tractor, like that kind of country. But there's a lot of people who party exactly that way, who listen to it and they're like, fuck yeah, that's how I do things. I think what makes blues such a great genre is no matter where you're born or, you know, race, gender, demographic, like income, anything, whether you're rich, poor, anything like that, everyone gets their heart broken.
Yeah.
And that's all blues is. It's like this deep, soulful pain of like love lost. And I think that's personal. Why it's really personal and it's really universal, though. Yeah. So it's these two things that hit on these two different levels that make it complete. And I think it goes back to that, like, why is it still interesting a century later? That's why. It's because, you know, it's why it'll be interesting a century from now.
Sure.
You know, everyone, unless we're all replaced by robots, is going to get their heart broken.
Yeah.
And there's this whole genre that's been written of just person after person after person after person feeling the same thing.
Yep.
And saying it differently in the same way.
And so how far out does it extend to you, like in terms of the blues? Because there's the form.
Lot, so.
Well, because like I consider Hey Joe essentially a blues song.
Okay.
Even though it's not following the traditional blues form, I think that everything about it screams the blues.
Yeah.
He repeats each line twice, and that repetition of like, I'm saying a thing, and I'm saying a thing again, and I'm saying a thing again, and I'm saying a thing again. And there's a repeating chord progression that isn't a traditional blues progression, but most of his solo over it is like using blues scales and stuff like that. And it's this build of intensity. And that's this other thing that I see about the blues is like, you watch a B.B. King song, like Sweet 16 or something. It's one of my favorite examples. And it's weird because it's like dangerous as a song now because it's naughty. But I just love what he does with this song.
It's crazy that like not that long ago.
It's insane. But anyway.
Everyone wrote songs about like 15 and 16-year-old people.
Oh, as a crazy aside.
Was it Jerry Lee Lewis?
Married his
like 15-year-old niece or something like that.
His cousin? Oh my God. Yeah. Well, also the Beatles.
Was his cousin? That's fine.
Maybe it was his niece. I don't know.
Kidding.
Anyway, what's the song? I saw her standing there. She was just 17. You know what I mean? I learned that when he's saying, you know what I mean, he's saying she was younger than 17.
Oh, shit.
But 17 was the age of consent.
60s, that'd be fucking weird.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, you wink, wink, you know what I mean? She was just 17.
Are you going to be able to have this on YouTube? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, so what B.B. King, like, he'll take a song and also the amount of time you can take on it. Because the people I see around town who really, I think, have mastered the blues are the ones who are taking a song is basically, it's just a canvas.
Yeah.
And so any blues song could be like 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
And so like it's how you take it and how you milk all that emotion out of it, all the heartbreak, all the whatever. And that's what it should be. And that's sort of why like the words of a blues song don't matter in a way.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's a good way of putting it. Speaking of stretching us on to 20 minutes, were you there? We played Friends on Daylight Savings Night.
I have heard this story from Micaiah
really?
15 times. What did you play?
So
You played Use Me for like 45 minutes or something?
46 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they asked, Friends is great bar. Really great bar, actually. I love Friends.
Yeah.
Is
Use Me a blues?
Interesting, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. But they asked us, they're like, hey, we want you to play Saturday night. We'll pay you extra, but you have to do 4 hours because it's going to be daylight savings. Right. And they're famous for like no breaks. So
I have to say, I really don't like that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And as a musician, everyone should have the right to complain about it. I do understand it from a business point of view because the second you take a break.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Dips.
Then the money has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so anyways, they're like, can you fill out 4 hours? And I'm like, yeah, we can do it. And in my head, I'm like, fucking do you use me for an hour and we'll see what happens.
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
It was 46 minutes. I clocked it at the start because I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Carlos knew what was going to happen. I didn't really tell anyone else intentionally. I just wanted to see what would happen. And when we got done, Rhett looked at me, drummer Rhett, what's up? Looked at me and tossed his sticks in the air and walked off stage to do in a fun way, not in a mean way.
Nice.
But he's like, I'm taking a break. And I'm like, that's fine. And then I did 2 solo songs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. This would be the good time for a break. Hold on.
That would have been a perfect time for ad reads
Yeah.
if I had ads.
Yeah.
I don't think I want ads. Yeah.
You say that till someone's like, "Hey, I'll give you this money."
Of
to
course,
say my name.
I did once get offered a sponsorship from Denny's.
Really?
That was $30 a week free Denny's food, and I was like, I don't really want, like, I don't like Denny's.
I feel like that is kind of fun.
But then I have to say good stuff about
No,
Denny's.
you just have to say Denny's gave you $30 a week to.
Hey guys, Denny's gave me $30.
Do you have to do like an ad read, or are they
think-
just like, here's?
No, I think it's like you have to mention it X number of times throughout your content.
That's easy. I would take that deal just based on the challenge of like bringing up like be like, oh hey, did I tell you about Denny's advertising deal? Oh my God. Like, because this is a funny. You would have already said Denny's enough times in just telling me about this.
That's true. I mean, that is
Right?
a funny way of doing it. Just
Because if
talk
we said
about
the word, I mean, we've said Denny's
yeah, right.
what 12 times so far
Yeah,
on
but
accident.
it's not money. It's just Denny's food.
Oh, you get a grand slam.
Yeah, that's true. Probably like 1.5. I don't
It
know how
could
much
be
they cost.
something. I mean, where's the closest Denny's,
It's walkable.
bro? That could be the thing. You take each of your guests out to Denny's after.
There's the $30 right
That's
there.
hilarious. That's actually really funny.
Today.
You should
Hey,
absolutely
I want to take you
that
out.
deal.
Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
That would be hilarious. And then each episode picture is a picture that you take at the Denny's
Oh my God.
of you and the person.
No, that's way too much for Denny's.
Bro, that's funny though. That's like a...
That's funny.
And we're back.
All right, we can keep that in.
You should absolutely keep that in. That was this was a bit. You gotta have bits.
Right. I have to have bits.
Bro,
Hey,
Denny's-
I have bits on
you
my
should-
other podcast.
You should take that up.
Yeah.
You should take that deal. You should take that deal. Be like, can I have $30 real money too?
2. Yeah.
Yeah. In addition,
$30.
just $30.
Can I have
and then
$30, please?
Can I have $30 and $30 of free food?
Yeah, right.
Start at 100.
Right. Can I have 100?
Start 200. Be like, can I have $200?
I like how the way you're. Can I have $200? Like you're sort of asking them for a favor,
Yeah.
almost. Like, hey, can I have $200?
Can I have
please?
$200 and $30 of free food? Just play them this clip and be like, what do you think of this? What do you think this is
Play
worth?
who? This
Denny's.
clip. Like walk up.
Play Denny. Was it just a local guy at Denny's? Was
No,
like,
it was.
I'll give you.
It was like some email.
Yeah.
Like a sponsorship email. I would like to get a hold of Denny though. Maybe
Yeah.
like, hey, can I please talk to Denny?
His name's actually Danny.
It's actually
Denny's his last name.
Oh, I see. His name is Danny. Denny.
Yeah. Danny D. Denny.
Danny D. Denny.
Yeah.
Actually, that guy.
Do you know what the middle D is for?
No.
David.
Okay.
And we're back.
There was a guitar player last night at the Skylark Lounge. I think you left, named Daniel David Dennett.
Really?
Yeah, he was the last guy to play.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I must have left right before.
Yeah.
I was tired.
Yeah.
My allergies were kicking my ass yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had all the, like, atmosphere changes because of the
Oh, yeah,
little
yeah.
fake tornado we had.
Yeah, right. The fake.
So my allergies fucked me up. So anytime I feel even a little bit off is a great excuse to just take NyQuil and go to bed.
Sure. Sure.
So I did that at 1 a.m. It was real groggy getting up today.
Ugh. I feel like every time I take NyQuil, it makes me feel sicker than before I took it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I sleep so soundly with the
I
weirdest
can't
dreams.
sleep. I just like have not restful sleep and I feel sick.
I always thought I slept really well, and I now realize that I wake up almost every single night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of it. And it's just because I'm thirsty.
Sure.
And I try
That makes
drinking
sense.
water before bed, but like,
Yeah. Like having to get up to pee is annoying.
So
that
annoying.
happens. Or I feel like if I've been drinking, I wake up at like 3 a.m. every time.
yeah, that's the witching hour. That's devil gonna get you.
Yeah, the devil's like, hey.
Hey,
The
it's
devil.
3.
Go
That's
away,
the devil
devil.
voice. Hi. Oh, hi. I come to take a soul.
It reminds me of an old David Cross bit about. He's like, people actually like believe in the devil, like a little guy with a pitchfork. He's like, I'm gonna get you in the tuchus. Yeah. Anyway.
Do you believe in the devil?
No.
No?
No.
Interesting.
Do you believe in the devil?
I do believe in the devil.
Nice. Like
Or Satan or something.
Satan.
That. Do you believe in evil? Since you have all your religious
I don't think
philosophy
so.
books outside.
No, I don't think so.
You don't believe in evil?
I don't think so. Maybe
Like
I
as
do.
a force, I should
Yeah,
say.
maybe. The answer to that is maybe. I don't know what I
What
believe.
do you mean maybe? I feel like there's enough in the world. I'm gonna challenge you on this a little bit because I think
Please do.
enough proof in the world of
evil.
to be like to have you pretty sold on the idea.
I believe that the narrative of evil is a useful conceptualization.
That's such an annoying like academic answer.
Yeah, I know.
What about like children mining cobalt in the Congo at like gunpoint and machete point?
Yeah. Calling that evil is very helpful.
It's not. Don't you think there is some objective evil?
I don't know. I have no idea. Like I think the universe cares about that? Maybe not. Do I think we care? Yes. That's why I'm saying it's useful.
I
So
think there's a reason we care though. Because we look at something and we can feel that it's wrong.
right.
You know what I mean? Like I think there's some things that unless you not to pick on you for the answer.
No, go for it. Go for it. Please do.
Unless you're gonna be annoyingly philosophical about it,
Right.
there's some things we can look at and be like, that's objectively wrong.
Object-
And it's not everything because you can
Right.
be annoying and philosophical and be like, if I'm like, there's children dying, like the example I use, there's children dying in the Congo mining cobalt so we can, have our phones charged quickly. And like
Right.
they're, in these
greater good.
these pens of like mines where they're all smushed like sardines and literally
Yeah.
the only
Yeah.
thing they can see is down
it's
into
terrible.
the ground. Yeah. I'm in like
I'm not
you can
for
say
that, by
I know,
the way.
I know, to be clear, but you can say things like, like if I had said something like murder,
Yeah.
you can make philosophical arguments about like, well, what about like just war and like all
No,
these other
but
things
I wouldn't
you
even
could say.
do that.
Well, then it's annoying that you pushed back on the child mining part.
No, because I actually don't think there's such a thing as just war. But
well, that's fine. But I'm just saying,
I don't think that
there's
your
things that are
situation is just
objectively-
either. It's not just.
I'm not saying. I never said it was or it wasn't. I'm
Right.
saying,
Is it evil?
I think some things
Are objectively
are
evil.
objectively evil.
And I don't think that I have any way of evaluating objectivity.
What about like rape and cold-blooded murder? Just for the sake of it, like
I mean, any bad thing. Here's the thing. I'm going to have the same answer for any really bad thing.
yeah,
Yeah. It's not like I think that the kids being forced to mine at gunpoint is like, well, maybe that's all right, but some
Yeah.
rape and cold-blooded
No.
murder isn't all right. My point is that I don't know that I have any way of evaluating objectivity. I do think it's useful. When I say useful, that sounds utilitarian, and I guess it is in a way. But what I mean is,
sounds detached
yeah.
from like
Well, it feels
reality.
bad. Okay, so it feels bad too. I think it feels evil to me. So
to be clear.
in what you're saying,
what I'm saying evil,
yeah,
it's not the examples I'm giving. It's the force and thought behind
yeah.
the person doing that.
So I would say
That is what I think evil is.
So then it really is it possible for somebody to have in their mind or their heart the ability to go against what they believe is good? That to me would be probably the closest thing for evil. So those guards with guns who have come up with some mental gymnastics as to why it doesn't matter that they're holding.
Well, now is it the guards with guns, or is it the people who hire the guards with guns?
Well, it's probably all of them because they probably all have some rationale as to why it makes sense
Yeah.
what they're doing.
And-
because most people, I don't think, engage in what they believe is evil. Not nobody, but
Yeah.
most people don't.
So that's kind of bringing back to do you believe in like the devil or Satan or evil?
Right.
So I think forces I don't think the devil is as simple as like, David Cross is like sneering atheist, like, can you believe that some people believe in the little red guy? With
Exactly. Yeah.
Whatever. But like, no one thinks that.
No,
but like,
definitely
so,
not.
But what it is, and we were having, talks about like biblical stuff.
Right.
I think what Satan or the devil is overarching, or evil. I think it's all the same, essentially. It's forces that are counter to the universal design, that are like past the point of like what we were really intended. But you could, and this is going to get into like free will and stuff, and we don't have to like derail completely, like from a music podcast. But those things that we feel, we're like, that's not right. There's a reason it's not right, and it's because there is this counter force in play in the world, and it's not like we might be divinely created and inspired beings and see and feel all the universal forces around us, which I think is God. Like all the things that kind of shape what we are and what the world is. And you can go as far as things like gravity. You can say the feeling you get when you look at someone you love and stuff like that. But there are counter points to that. And that's kind of the whole point of being human and like, or being like the type of creation that we are. I'm not saying creation in like we were pulled straight from the ground kind of way.
Right.
But in this like more of like an intelligent design kind of way, where those things that are counter though, that we feel and look at and know in our pit, it's not right. That is what I think like evil and the devil are, because that's really what it's supposed to be. It's this contrary of like, oh, you were supposed to live this way in like Eden and follow these laws and stuff like that. Be like, you can do this.
Right.
And it comes in, sometimes it's nuanced.
Right.
And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's, engaging in evil to get rid of evil. Like the old Robert McNamara. I don't know if you ever watched Fog of War. It's like a documentary they did with Robert McNamara.
General, right?
He was the Secretary of Defense under Nixon and Johnson for a little bit. Yeah. So he was a big Vietnam guy.
Yeah.
But he did this whole thing, and it was like the Fog of War, and it was like I think it was like 18 points or something. You can put the actual number of points right next to me in the editing. But one of them
with really goofy animation.
Yeah, and it was really, it was really good. It was really insightful.
Yeah.
But one of the things was sometimes to eliminate evil, you need to engage in evil. Right. And the obvious example is like World War II, right?
Yeah.
That was something he gave. But I bring that up only to say there are nuances in the engagement of something that's like counter to like what is right. And then there's not. There's like, are we going to fight the Nazis, or like, am I going to go like rape and murder tonight? They're different.
Yeah.
But both of them feel wrong. One feels way, way more wrong than the other when you say it. Yeah. But to kind of go to your point, you can like dance around certain things all the time to be like, well, what is evil? Is it real? Stuff like that. I think my overall point was, I think there are some things that are just so
clearly wrong
that it's hard to say there's not something else going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I do know what you mean. I think where I have a problem starting that process, because even the term us as a creation, I don't know that I can evaluate whether we are created or have happened by accident. Like, I have no clue.
Sure.
And this is where I fall out with anybody who's telling me about the beginning of the universe.
I mean, no one knows.
Anybody. It's like scientists, Big Bang, the whole thing. It's like, what are you telling me?
Yeah.
I have no way of even evaluating what you're saying is true or not. How do you know what you're saying is true?
I totally agree. I don't think there's any way of knowing. I think the one thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And like, I am a religious guy. I'm a spiritual guy. I'm not at all like evangelizing or anything like that. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a weird topic to bring
It's
up.
not.
This
It's
is
not.
what
It's
I
not
expected.
It's
coming
not.
on the
It's not
music
weird.
podcast,
Actually,
but,
I think this relates to music, and I think we can bring it into music
we
in a
can
second.
bring it back. But so when I say things like creation and stuff like that, I think of it in this long-term thing, right? Where if you do you remember that science experiment that we would do as kids where you take like half a plastic bottle and you create like a little biome or like a terrarium or something?
Yep.
And then you put in, I'm going to forget how you do it, but like you have the water underneath and you have the dirt and you put your plants and your sticks and your rocks for decoration.
Yeah, right.
And you color it or whatever you want to do. And then you just you do all that over, what does that take? 10 minutes or something like that. And then you put it away and then you watch it turn over weeks. Yeah. And then you see things like mold and algae and like all these little things like that. Right. So when I talk about creation, what I actually mean isn't even though I believe it to be like a divinely inspired creation. That's not actually what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is inarguably over the course of time, we were created by the universal forces that control us, like time and gravity and whatever I'm not a physicist, but whatever the impact, the velocity of outward expansion of the universe takes. All of that stuff shapes us the same way that like us putting rocks in a certain place in our biome shapes us, or the same way that like a sculptor's hands on like a pottery wheel shapes that.
But and what would evil be in that system then?
So that wasn't exactly what I was talking about with it. But if the actual thing would be evil is just the equal and opposite reaction of all of this. So like what evil is
the negative to the positive.
Yeah. It's and I'm not saying it's exactly equal and opposite, right? But it's this idea of if you do, there is something to the idea of believing in a good force to have a bad one, which I do. But that's kind of what evil is. If there's all these things that create, beauty and love and like the goodwill of, because I don't think it's just like our conditioning in society that makes us look at like certain things and be like, I need to help, or like,
no, I don't think so.
Want that. I think some things are just natural. It's that like,
yes, I agree with you.
Yeah. And for me, part of why it goes back to faith a little bit is that, do you know, I'm going to butcher this so you can put the actual, what this actually means right here. Yeah, there's a lot of inserts. So you're going to be up editing. Yeah, exactly. But do you know what trademark theory is? I think it was Descartes or some French person.
I do not.
So it was his argument for why God exists. And it was the idea that, again, I'm probably going to get this completely wrong, but this is how I remember it. It was the idea that the proof that God exists is because we imagine him.
Right.
And that was put in there by a creator as like a trait.
Is this the one that because you can imagine a perfect being, there must be a more perfect being?
No, that's a different one.
Like if you can imagine it, there is it has to be.
Yeah. As I say, no, that's a different theory. You can put here same theory, but I'm pretty sure that's a different one.
Okay.
So the idea of trademark theory is the fact that we imagine a God is proof of one, because why else would we have that idea?
Right.
And it's that like little thing in the back of our mind of like, why are we even talking about this if it didn't exist? And it's because that idea was put there.
Yeah.
And if you want to get, sciencey, or maybe it's more pseudoscience. I don't know where the actual science falls on this, but you can there's things like collective unconscious and like past subconscious and all that kind of stuff where like we look up when we hear a loud sound because our ancestors used to have to look up for like predators and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like that idea of why we still react certain ways.
Right.
You can trace. It's that kind of idea that like there's certain things that we do because we used to know them.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So that's why I think blues is really such a magical genre.
No, that was great. I love it. Actually, What I want is this podcast to do that, because musicians aren't just musicians, and talking about guitar all day is boring.
Yeah,
But
I
this is
agree.
actually the thing. Like, this is our life as music. That's the idea of this podcast. Is that like, it's just whatever anybody thinks about and wants to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's cool.
awesome. So bringing it back to music, and then we can play something. In terms of the spiritual side of things, I had a podcast once where somebody told me that music literally is magic,
Oh, interesting.
and that really stuck with me. And so I now kind of conceptualize a musician as sort of a conjurer or an illusionist.
Interesting.
And so, like, it's this weird thing where you're creating a shared space between you and a listener, because all you're doing is making sounds. But you're like, can I make sounds in such a way that's going to like elicit feelings or vibes, or make you want to move your body, or make you want to cry, or make you want to punch something or whatever. And it's like, it's this very, I would say it's something like a spiritual experience when it's done right. Because you're accessing something.
I would agree with that.
You're accessing this space that's shared between you and a listener. And it's like, it's that you're conjuring an illusion.
Yeah.
That's eliciting feelings.
I think the illusion thing is interesting. I've never really thought of it like that. But that is cool. Spiritual experience, I totally agree with. And it's interesting when you read like old religious things. Everything's kind of in. I'm gonna get a lot of things around here, but this is just what's in my brain. But like, there's like the old Psalms of the Bible, right?
Yep.
Those are all Psalms. Mm-hmm. I had a friend in college who was from Saudi Arabia, and he was telling me about, this was like the first time I'd ever heard someone really like explain the Quran and stuff. And he was telling me that like sing-songy tone that they use when they preach is actually the natural like speaking tones in that language. And the reason why the Quran is this like divine book to the, to them is because it naturally sounds like singing when you read the words.
Right.
I don't speak it to know.
Yeah, right.
But like, why would I not take his word for that? Like,
Yeah.
But that's pretty beautiful when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it was also dictated, like the story, like
exactly.
the angel Gabriel dictated it to Muhammad.
Yeah. And
or like in verse.
Yeah. No. But that's, I mean, I think that's a really interesting thing. And then you have, are you a Tolkien guy at all? Mm-hmm. So I recently just tried to read the Silmarillion.
Oh yeah, I tried that a couple times. I never got through it.
Fucking difficult. Yeah. But if you notice in his first like...
Yeah, it's like the Bible.
Yeah, and in his first like books of it, he talks about... I mean, maybe it's so hard to understand what he's trying to talk about. But there are distinct lines about like... what is it, Maui or whatever the overarching big deity over the Valors are, creating the musical sounds of the universe.
Right.
Which is such an interesting, and Tolkien also is a deeply spiritual man.
Right.
It's with you ever read anything of C.S. Lewis?
Yeah.
Yeah. They were
They
were best friends.
The apologetics. I
hung out.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that relationship
what
is so
what is
interesting.
his thing on Jesus? He's got a little it's a little quippy thing.
C.S. Lewis or Tolkien?
Yeah, C.S. Lewis. Lord, lunatic, or liar.
Oh,
Those are
that's
the only
interesting.
three options. Because he said that you cannot think that Jesus was just a good philosopher and not the Lord.
Yeah.
Because the things he was speaking, if he is not the Lord, are wicked.
That's so interesting.
So he's either like demonic or he's God. That's it. Those are
Or
the
a
only
liar.
options.
Yeah.
Well, but being a liar is wicked. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Or,
I'd never heard that
like
one.
a lunatic, and then it's not his fault. Yeah.
I'd read I read the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, right.
Good books. Good read.
Absolutely.
Honestly, a good read. I read The Last Battle like 3 years ago, like as an adult, and it was really good.
Nice.
They're way easier to get through than like The Lord of the Rings.
Yes,
or
Lord of the
Game
Rings is a
Thrones.
little rough sometimes.
Yeah, it is. For being my favorite movies of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I found the books extraordinarily difficult
I
to get
love
through.
The Hobbit.
Oh, the book?
Yeah.
The Hobbit, the book, I think is one of the most fun adventures you can have, like on paper.
Yep.
Like, so fun. And the Hobbit started, and it kind of started the whole thing from him telling his kids bedtime stories.
Yep. I remember
which I think
that.
is just so like
It's great.
it's so great. Yeah, Chronicles of Narnia is actually pretty easy to get through. they're not all great because there's 7 of them. At least that I remember, right?
Yeah. I loved
But,
The Voyage of the Dawn Treader as a kid. That was my favorite. Yeah.
That one, I don't remember as well. I mean, I
It just
remember
had that
right?
mouse. I liked it.
Yeah.
Reap-a-cheep.
Yeah, I do remember that. But the I mean, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is
Yeah, classic.
so classic. Also, a really underrated movie. Like, I think a phenomenally good movie.
The one they made like 2007 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. If you haven't seen it in a while, listeners, you
I'll
should
put the movie right here in
just
between us.
play-
I'll definitely get cut off YouTube for that.
And in between those claps, you just put the full length movie, if you could, as just a box in between us of like still framed.
Yeah, right.
No, it is a really, really good movie. Magician's Nephew is fascinating. It was like the 6th one he wrote, but it's the first one in the
Yes. Yeah,
series about the creation of
Yes.
Narnia.
Yeah.
Which I
That
think
one
is
interesting.
fascinating.
Yep.
Because going back a little bit to what we were talking about, like I think, don't want to shock the listeners. I believe in God, but I think if you believe in God as a being,
Right.
it's a being that exists outside the constraints of time as we experience it. So, because it doesn't make sense as a deity living in the moment to see things that way. Like, you ever read Slaughterhouse-Five?
Oh yeah. Trial for Midorians.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
where they
see all time.
they see all
once.
time at once, and
Yeah.
like it's so clear. The visual makes so much sense in my mind. I have the hardest time explaining, but the time as a snake curving,
Right.
where we see it as this, but it's actually just this kind of thing.
Yep.
That was great podcasting, just saying this and this
Oh,
and
it's
doing
great.
hand
Yeah.
movements. Yeah, we're really good at this. But that would have to be, and Interstellar is probably the most accessible example for most people.
Okay.
Where you have beings outside the constraints of time as a dimension.
Sure.
So they see things all at once as these chords that vibrate into other parts. Anyways, yeah, Magician's Nephew deals with that a little bit.
That's pretty cool.
But the last battle is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good little allegory for the apocalypse. But I got into reading C.S. Lewis a few years ago, like his philosophical works. I think he's so interesting.
Yeah.
Really brilliant. Did you ever read Screw Tape Letters? I think you'd like that.
Nice.
Just based on the little bit we've talked about this, I
Yeah.
think you would probably really enjoy Screw Tape Letters.
Yeah. I mean, I think C.S. Lewis he's a really interesting thinker. I like reading his stuff.
But back to music.
Yeah. Back to music.
Back to music. So I think I've definitely had spiritual experiences from music, like live. Like I remember in high school, I saw John Butler play. If you remember him, it's real dirty looking, like white dude with dreads.
Like,
but he
I feel
plays
like I
a
know
crazy
John Butler
guitar.
Trio is something, right?
Yep,
Okay.
that's him.
Okay. I can't think of any music. I can't.
Real hippie guy from like Australia. He had a song called Zebra that
Okay.
was pretty big. He had a song called Used to Get High that was big, but he was really famous because he had an instrumental song of his called The Ocean go viral.
Okay.
And it's like this virtuistic guitar
Nice.
piece.
Cool.
Like you can put it
Like
right
all
here.
tapping
you
and
can put it
stuff?
right. It's I mean, you just watch it. It's we'll watch it.
It's gonna be a long
later.
podcast.
Yeah, but it's I mean, you're gonna have to put a full movie in.
Also, I love the idea that also for the podcast part of it that's not on YouTube, they're just listening
Yeah,
to
they're
a
just
movie.
listening to everything, or not even. It's just dead air.
I don't put it in for them.
Yeah,
It's been like 2 hours.
But so I remember that was like a deeply religious or spiritual experience for me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say really. It wasn't religious. It was very spiritual though. I've had listening to things like there's a live version of the song Joe by Alabama Shakes
Okay.
that makes me feel like a deep swelling in my like soul and heart and stuff when I listen to it. And then my favorite song ever is Hallelujah.
Oh, yeah.
The Leonard Cohen, Jeff Buckley.
Yeah.
Also from
It's
Shrek.
a great song. It's
song.
I teach it to my students sometimes. I think it's the perfect chord progression. I have a whole thing about it. Yeah.
Well, he puts the chords right in there. That's how he knows.
Not
That's how
that
good he knows it.
Not
Oh.
that at all. Actually, it's the hallelujah part.
Oh, the chorus.
It is in both A minor and C major at the same time.
That's beautiful.
I would say because the verse has the two poles. It starts in C major, like very much in C major, and then it flips to A minor when we get the E7 chord going to the A minor. So that's both poles of the C major collection,
That's so interesting.
like the relative major and minor. And then when we get to the chorus, that F exists as a pivot to each key, and we go F, A minor, F, C.
Wow.
And so it's the transcendent moment when like the super chord has been
That's
achieved.
really beautiful.
That's how I see that.
Can I tell you something funny? So this isn't going to sound funny, but it is funny. So I play that song wrong.
Oh. Wait, what do you mean?
Because I do all the verse the same up
Yeah.
until the E7.
Yeah.
And then I go to C, and then I hit the A minor
You
to
go
start the
E7
chorus.
C?
E7 C.
Whoa.
to
Oh, that
kind of-
changes everything.
And then hit an A minor to start the chorus.
Yeah.
C, A minor, F, G, then C.
Okay.
But it's because I played that song at my grandmother's funeral. And haven't felt like learning
Sure.
how to properly play it.
Yeah. Well,
But
it's
I play
imprinted.
that song.
That's important.
Yeah,
to you.
it is imprinted. That's a good way of putting it. But I play that song all the time.
Yeah.
And right when I moved to Austin, and I felt like I didn't know if I was making the right choice, and I was just kind of getting it, I would end every set with it
Wow.
because it made me feel like I was where I was supposed to be. And it just made me feel a little more like secure.
Yeah.
That song, though, I think I have another reason why I think that's the perfect song. And it has less to do with the actual theory behind it, but I think it's really something special when you can make a secular song reach your soul.
Sure.
Because you can write religious music.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't think it's all very good.
Yeah.
The same way that I think anything where you start with a purpose and then write a song, it's going to be very hard for it to sound like genuinely inspired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That said, there's a lot of awesome gospel. I love gospel music.
Same.
I love gospel influenced music a lot. And there's a lot of, I mean, I don't listen to like Christian rock and stuff regularly, but I'll hear some of it like there's a lot of new age churches in Austin.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll walk past and hear some of it. And I don't know the theory behind it, but some of it does just well up inside you when you hear it.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Like, but I think it's very, very hard to make a song that is not itself a religious song conjure up those same effects.
Right.
And I think Hallelujah does it
But it does
perfectly.
it does it perfectly because I think it's the like the superstructure. It has this ambiguity because it's referencing all these religious things.
Yeah.
As you say, it's a secular song. Like right there's an ambiguity because it's referencing all these Bible stories and it's using those Bible stories for their emotional content, and it's adding new emotional content to them.
Yeah, and not just the story, but Hallelujah as a word itself.
Of course.
Yeah,
so to call it a secular song is also like, is it? Yes.
It's both. Kind of like how you said with the chorus where it's two keys at the same time. It is both secular and spiritual.
Right.
And which is really
the
amazing.
major, the minor. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think if you could put Hallelujah as a song on anywhere, and I don't think anyone would be like, God, I hate Christian rock. Like,
no, they'd probably just be like, oh, this song.
God, I love that song though.
Me too. I think it's
so
perfect.
beautiful.
Yeah,
it really is perfect.
Yeah.
I first heard it in Shrek.
Oh, yeah. I was teaching it to a student once, and their dad was like, wait, why are you learning a song from Shrek?
That's so funny.
You're
funny.
a dad. You're supposed to know this.
Yeah. What are you teaching your kids?
Cool. So you want to play something?
Yeah, let's play something.
Cool. I usually use my phone, but it's recording.
Yeah, no problem. Hi.
There's a skill I need to get better at. Is tuning by ear. Because it's
same. I used to be pretty
on
good.
These things.
Yeah, I'm so relying on them. That's actually why. Here's a fun thing that we actually can probably keep in. Being reliant on like the machines is a big thing. It's part of the reason why, despite playing like 250 shows last year, I don't have a stand for my phone.
Nice. That's great.
And it's so I don't get... it makes it really hard to learn new songs on the fly because I put it on my leg and then I hold still.
Oh, you still use the text?
Sometimes. No, sometimes.
That's funny.
But what I don't use it for is songs that I know in my set.
I see.
So if I'm like, oh, what's that word? I'm like, fuck it, just play it, and I bet you'll figure it out.
Yep.
So That's why I can play like, you know, I don't know. Just gonna play or maybe 150 songs from just memory,
Right.
Without like, ooh, what do I do here?
Yeah.
All right, let's do something not jazzy. That was a misnomer. I can't play jazz.
Okay.
That is I call that the Gary Clark Jr. chord.
Is D major 9 is a Gary Clark Jr. chord?
That's what I call it.
It's funny. I don't associate that with yeah.
I think he has one song called Black and Blue that starts with that. where it's like,
I see.
Gary,
Right.
if you're listening, correct me if I'm wrong on
Gary,
that.
if you're listening.
I met
Right.
him a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice. Well, I mean,
he
he's
was
around,
watching
right?
us at a Friends Bar. Yeah, he comes into Friends Bar
yeah.
a decent amount.
Cool.
And it was the first day that we got shut off by the social media. Oh, hold on. Before we start, let me just say, if you, on the off chance, are listening to this, which maybe you are, since you are so obsessed with doing your own podcast and stuff, if you work for fucking Ibble, the stupid-ass company that moved into an office above Friends Bar to do podcasting. Go the fuck somewhere else. Go somewhere else in Austin. Go to Dallas. Go back to California. I don't give a fuck where you go, but don't go to the last bar that does live music all day and then start bitching to not the bar, to the building manager that they're playing music too loudly during the day. Go the fuck somewhere else, you waste of space in this city.
Nice.
Anyways, also, if you're a new social media company, maybe you should have more than 6 likes on your Instagram.
Yeah.
You fucking joke. I hate them.
There we go.
I told that we've been doing this back and forth for like weeks about like, oh, it's too loud. We can hear the voice when you'll play. There's only music during their work hours from noon to 3. So I said, you know, if they're trying to do their podcast and they only need it for like an hour is what we were told, why don't they do it before noon or after 3?
Right.
And we were told, oh, they don't feel like they should have to alter how they do business. They're literally telling the bar that's been... Why should we alter how we do business? The first day we got shut down, I was playing with Haas, doing a duo stuff. Gary Clark Jr. was in there watching us.
Nice.
Came up from the back to the front to watch us play. I'm like, what do you want to hear, man? Obviously, I recognized him. And he's like, whatever you got, man. I'm like, all right, here's an old blues song. You can tell me who it's by. I know it is Derek and the Dominoes. We started doing Have You Ever Loved a Woman and got shut down in the middle of the song. And I'm like, are you kidding? And the guy's like, dude, I'm really sorry, but you have to stop. So then I got real loud and did the big kind of ending like the so much I'm traveling or it's yeah, I didn't mess it up live. I didn't mess up while we were being watched, but
yeah.
Then we got yelled at, but you know who was really pissed that the music got shut off was Gary Clark Jr.
Yeah.
Who was just, he's like, do you know that fucking company's name? He's like, I want to complain. He's like, I want to call them. I want to trash them. He's like,
Dang.
Who the fuck moves above Friends Bar? He's like, I came out. He's like, I'm in the studio right now. I just wanted to walk around and see what's going on in Austin. He's like, this is the worst thing I could have seen. He's like, not us. He's like, you guys were doing really well. He's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
He's like, this is because he came up playing at Friends. And he's like, this is the first stage I played on. He's like, to see this really bums me out.
Yeah, that sucks.
It does suck. So if you work for fucking Ibble, I mean, I don't know, probably not much longer. I can't imagine that company's making any money. But you know what? You can come work for me.
Nice.
As a roadie. It doesn't pay much. And you can't unionize.
Ooh. All right.
All right, what are we doing?
I don't know. Whatever.
Well, that was fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was a weird ending, but it kind of...
That's all right. It worked out. I realized about halfway through my B string just jumped down half a step.
A half step?
Yeah.
Dang.
That's all right.
Yeah.
What's a jam if something's not a little out of tune?
Yeah. So how... I feel like when I've seen you play, you're not afraid to go like very out sometimes.
Yeah, it's
Just, like,
totally
real
intentional
noisy.
and not me messing up.
No. I feel like it is intentional sometimes. You're just
okay.
you're just going for it.
Oh yeah, I mean you
Yeah.
gotta just let loose.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
it's the thing that we were talking about earlier, where like you can't really think about what you're gonna play. You can kind of have those split second thoughts of like maybe I'll go up to here and try it there, but like
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
go for it, dude. It's Austin. Like there's 100 people who can play the perfect note at the perfect time, the perfect way. So like, what are you gonna do that's a little different?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why Jack White is such a great blues guitarist. It's not like his actual like pure technical ability. It's just the like rawness of what he does. I mean, early Jack White specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. Such cool like guitar solos and the synth solos go along with it and the mood.
Yeah, he just fucking rocks it.
Yeah. All right, so what's coming up for Jac with No K?
We just recorded an album with Andy Tenberg of Tomar and the
Nice.
FCs. Yeah,
cool. Is it out or are you still mixing?
No. Well, actually, it's being mastered right now.
Okay.
We just got the first master back for the first song. We were gonna originally try and have a song out by South by.
Okay.
But that's next week.
Yeah.
And I just got the master back.
Okay.
Like 2 days ago.
Okay.
So that's not gonna happen. But it is coming out.
Nice.
Let's see. I'll have to check today. It would be really hard to get it in by today. Because turnover normally takes 3 weeks to get something online from if you do CD Baby or DistroKid or something like that.
No. It's like a week. But if you're trying to get it submitted to playlists and stuff, that's like 2.
All right, maybe we'll have something
weeks.
out by March 17th then.
I think my best has been 4 days.
Wow, really?
From
Who do you use?
DistroKid to Spotify.
So I haven't used DistroKid yet.
Okay.
I'm about to sign up for it.
Yeah.
Because I want to release a lot of music without paying.
Yes.
All the time?
Yep. Yeah. Just once a year.
CD Baby's been fine. But I didn't realize they also took a percentage of my royalties.
CD Baby?
Yeah.
I mean,
Which annoyed me.
Yeah.
Because I thought the whole point was you pay us the one-time fee.
Right.
And what do you need 15% of nothing for?
Right. 15% is high too, especially if you're paying them for
That's
distribution.
That's what I thought. And then I read the fine print. I met someone from BMI. I got a little bit of an argument with her because I'm like, I really don't think that's how that works. She's like, I promise you that's how it works. She's like, go read it. I'm like, all right, I'll read it.
Yeah.
And I did. And I'm like, well, that's kind of annoying. CD Baby used to be great, but now also they don't have any in-person people you can call. They got rid of that during COVID.
Yeah.
So it's so frustrating to deal with that. Anyways, well, great. Maybe we'll have something out March 17th then.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. That'd be really cool.
All right, so keep up. So I'll put all the links and everything.
Yeah. All right, so the band's Jac with No K. So here's the thing. I want to do a little tagline band name for the album to kind of differentiate it. So Jac with No K has always been my project since 2017 is our first EP.
Yeah. Nice.
We have 5 EPs, all with great EP names. The first one was Summer Hits of the 1890s.
Nice.
Then we had House Show Dreamboat.
Okay.
Songs for a Long Drive Home.
Okay, that's a good name.
Thank you.
House Show Dreamboat sounds like a band name too.
That's what a lot of people say.
Okay.
My best friend, the guy from November Blue, well, he's being kind of a jerk right now, not calling me back.
Oh. Well, this podcast will get him.
That's all right. He's been my friend since kindergarten. That's just me razzing him. Anyways, so he always told me I should just make my band name House Show Dreamboat. Mm-hmm. Because it does kind of sound like a band name.
Yeah.
Anyways, we also have one called Do Up Daydreams and one called Imaginary Lovers.
Cool.
But those are all my EPs that I've done.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And then I have one solo EP just under Jack Carson. So that way, if people couldn't understand Jac with No K, they would find something.
Yeah. But
now I want to do JJ Grey and Mofro.
Mm-mm.
Really good singer. You should look up.
Okay.
What's another one? You know how Leon Bridges did Leon Bridges and Krungbin
Okay.
as the dual EP with
Yep.
like Texas Sun on it?
Yep.
Or what's another good one? There's a lot of them that are like Nathaniel Rateliff, and then there's Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats.
Sure,
And no
yes,
matter what
yeah.
you look up on Spotify,
Yep.
there's artist pages for both of them.
Sure, that's
So
yep,
now I
yep.
want to have one for Jac With No K, and then
And
it'll
the
probably be
something.
New Texas Groove.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that way I have something that's easy for people to fucking
Yep.
spell
Yeah.
and remember.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it
Yeah.
also works well together. So, because you could say it's Jac With No K and New Texas Groove.
Yeah.
But it'll just be Jac With No K and then New Texas Groove
Mm-hmm.
right next to it. And so that way, if you look up New Texas Groove, it'll be an artist page.
Nice.
Either
That's a good
way,
idea.
the first
Yeah.
single is called No, No, No. It's a fun song.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Looking forward to it.
When will this be out?
Next week,
When?
Thursday. I don't remember
On
the date.
Thursday, we're playing at the 13th floor.
Tonight. 13th floor. Oh,
Tonight.
cool. I haven't played there yet. I
Okay.
played at the Green Jay, but I haven't played
Yeah, we
since it
played at
switched over
Green
to
Jay
the
too. I'm
13th
excited to
floor.
play at 13th floor.
Yeah.
It's the guys who own the bar. We're part of Black Angels, I think,
Nice.
if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
Cool band. I listened to them when I was growing up because my dad liked them.
Nice. All right. Well, if you happen to catch this tonight and you're in Austin, go to
Yeah.
the 13th floor.
We're also playing a bunch of shows during South by, so
Yeah.
you can find
I mean,
us
Jack
anywhere.
plays all the time, all over the place.
Play out a lot.
Yeah.
So, what's up with you?
What's up with me?
Yeah,
What?
you asked about me. We started this whole podcast saying no one asks me how I'm doing. So, how are you doing? What do you have coming up, Anthony?
Oh no, I don't know. I also have an EP coming out.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know
5
that.
tunes. Yeah, I'm still mixing it. But
Okay.
Yep. June or not June. What's the month after this month? April.
Okay. Congrats. Do you
April.
have someone for mastering?
I'm just doing it myself.
I have a guy if you need him.
Okay.
It's really good. It's my friends up in Nashville do all my mastering.
Oh,
for me.
nice.
It's pretty affordable.
I'm trying to go DIY until
For all of it?
for now. Like I'm embracing the DIY thing. Bless you, bless you, bless you.
Thank you.
Because I don't have a lot of money to record,
Yeah.
so I recorded it all myself. And like I went up to Wisconsin to like an old bass player friend, old drummer friend,
Nice.
recorded with them, just like as makeshift as possible to try and embrace the DIY thing. Because I feel like there's this weird space in the middle where you're shelling out money for things, but it's sort of reaching above you. And there's something to sort of embracing the we're doing this on the cheap
Yeah.
vibe until the ROI is there, and then it
Yeah.
makes sense to like invest
So I
in
think
it.
that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's really cool. The one thing I would say, just in case you want to cut this last little
Go
part
for
out.
it.
So the one thing that I've found with a lot of friends who've done that over the years
Yeah.
is the one thing that like you probably should just have someone do is mastering, because it's
Yeah.
all the little
Yeah.
because it's the small little audio things. It's
Yep.
not really going to change how the mixing sounds that much,
Right.
but it'll make the songs themselves give it that air of professionalism to
Yeah.
where it at least like if it comes on in the car
Yeah.
on like one of my Spotify playlists, it's not going to be a substantially
Radically
different level
Yep.
than everything else. And
Yep.
that's the one thing that I know, not knowing a lot about mastering and what it actually does, that it helps with.
Sure.
Is making
Yep.
it just way more on par with everything else.
Yes.
Because honestly, and this is no offense to my friends whose songs are like this, when I listen to them, if I'm in my car listening and then someone's song comes on and it's like 10
Yeah. Yep.
volume settings lower than the other ones, I'm just going to skip it.
Right.
Because the next one's going to blow my ears out and I'm going to forget.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it just doesn't sound as good.
Sure.
So you want that last little bit.
You need the
also,
sheen. Yeah,
they
yeah.
are, I don't know how long your EP is, but it's $50 a song they do. And
Okay.
They do really good work. So it's not like
$50
a ton
a
of
song
money.
is not that much.
No, it's not that much.
Okay.
It's definitely worth it too.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation.
Cool.
And I can link you up with them if you want.
Yeah.
They're really good stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, they're nice. Very nice guys. Also guys in November Blue, if you keep this in.
Oh.
What's up, Johnny and Dean?
Yeah, I'll keep it in. I don't see why not. All right.
Well, you don't
So
have to keep that in. The
I'm gonna make that really loud. That'll be the sound
exactly.
effect for
That'll
the
just
whole
be
thing.
the big one.
Every time you point to putting something up, it'll look like
Yeah,
a nose
exactly.
blow. Yeah, cool. All right, well, directed Instagram, website,
yeah,
Spotify,
website.
all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually
I'll-
right now getting everything really in order.
Yeah.
Social media, website,
Yep.
SEO, whatever.
Cool.
It is.
I'll have links to all that stuff.
All of that's getting situated right now, and I hate it, but I'm doing it, and I have a good friend who's helping me that I'm very grateful for. So
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody.
thank
See you later.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
All right. Thanks for listening or watching. Be sure to look up Jac with No K. Find all his stuff on the links below. Go out to a show, all that stuff. Remember to like, leave a comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time.